All right, so welcome to day 3, and till now we have covered 2 domains. Yesterday we talked about the first thing that we discussed was strategic alignment. The second thing that we discussed was benefits management or benefits alignment, right?
Yes.
Okay, now the third domain that we are going to discuss is communications and stakeholders engagement. Stakeholders engagement. Okay, most of the concepts in this domain are almost similar to the PMP exam, okay? PMP content. So this is kind of revision of those concepts. So let's start. Stakeholders. How would you define stakeholders? Who are stakeholders? Anju?
Anyone with who has got interest in this initiative, who is getting benefit out of it, who is participating in that initiative.
Absolutely, that is right. Anyone who is relevant to your program.
Yes.
Anyone who may impact your program. Anyone who may be impacted by your program outcome, right?
Mm.
And anyone who perceive themselves to be impacted. So these are your stakeholders. Now, stakeholders could be internal to the organization, and stakeholders can be external. For example, if I talk about internal stakeholders, what comes to your mind?
The portfolio leaders, the
Yeah,
team, project team, program team.
right. Portfolio managers, program manager and program management team, right?
Mm.
Project managers
Project
and
managers,
project
product
management team.
managers. Yes.
What else? Anybody else?
Operations team,
Operations or functional managers, perfect.
functional managers. Yeah.
Functional heads, PMO,
Mm.
if your organization has PMO, your program sponsor,
Yeah.
right? Your senior leadership, all of these can be your internal stakeholders. So similarly, we have external stakeholders like customer,
Yeah.
right? Customer, end user, government, right? Vendor,
Mm.
contractor, supplier, consultant, right? Financial institutes, banks,
Yes.
public, community, right?
Mm.
Media, competitors. All of these could be potential stakeholders for your project. Okay. Now you see some stakeholders, they provide you with funds, right?
Mm.
Funding organizations. They provide you with funds. Some stakeholders, just a second. Okay. Some stakeholders provide you with funds. Some stakeholders, they provide you, let's say, approvals, government regulatory bodies, Some stakeholders provide you requirements, right? Scope of work, what work you should be doing. Some stakeholders, they provide you resources, material, equipment. Some stakeholders, they provide you manpower. Some stakeholders provide you support, your senior leadership, right? And
Yes.
some stakeholders, they perform work, your own team. Now, you see, all of these things are super important for successful execution of your program. You understand that? If
Yes.
we want our program to be successful, we want all of these things, right? We want support, we want approvals, we want funds, right? We want material, everything that is written here. We need that. Okay. In order to need this, we need to actively engage with these stakeholders, right? Actively engage with. So, active engagement with these stakeholders is super important. Active engagement. So previously PMI used word management for stakeholder and now say, no, it's engagement, not management, because you don't manage stakeholders, you engage with them. Okay. Now, for this engagement, what we need to do, we need to follow a process. Now, there are 5 steps in stakeholders engagement, right? Step number 1, if you recall, what is step number 1? Let me test your memory based on PMP. Just try.
Okay, my memory may be weak. I can't recall. Maybe if you give me the first one, the second one, maybe I'll be.
Okay. So first one is identification of stakeholders.
Okay.
Stakeholders identification, right?
Yes.
Step number 1. Let me write it here. Stakeholders identification. Okay. Step 2 is stakeholders analysis. Stakeholders analysis. We analyze our stakeholders. After analysis, we develop plan. So stakeholders engagement planning.
Yes.
Stakeholders engagement planning. Step number 4, we do engagement, right? So we call it actual engagement, stakeholders engagement. And step 5 is we do communications. Actually, these are same steps, but in the standards, they are written as separate.
Okay.
So primarily, there are 3 main steps. 3 main steps. Step number 1, we do identification. Step number 2, we do the analysis. And step 3, what we do is we do planning. Right? Remaining 2 steps are for actual engagement and communication. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's start with the first one. Let's start with the first one. Stakeholders identification. Identify stakeholders. Okay. How we can identify stakeholders? What comes to your mind? How we can identify stakeholders?
We should thoroughly study about the program.
Okay, perfect.
We will have an idea of who are getting the benefits out of it, who will be participating, who will be driving that one.
Right. Perfect. So first of all, you're saying we will be reviewing program documents, right?
Yes.
Review documents. Perfect. The documents, which documents we will be reviewing? Let's say we will be reviewing program charter, right? Business case. If there is any other document available, let's say if you have scope statement, anything that is available. We do this activity at the earliest stages of product or program, during the initiation stages, right? During the formulation stages. At that stage, maybe we do not have detailed plans, right? So we will be reviewing initial documents, right? And we will be extracting relevant people who would be impacted or who may impact your program.
Yes.
Okay, what else? What else? One is review documents. Is there any other way to identify stakeholders?
Study the market study or market research.
Market study, how this would be helpful?
To identify the competitors.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, which aspects of market would be impacted by your program? So yes, market studies. What else? Start from, let's say you're part of your team, what you guys would be doing to identify stakeholders?
Sorry?
If you're part of a team, right? What activities you will be doing to identify stakeholders? Like meetings,
Yeah, okay. Meeting, interviews,
brainstorming sessions,
yeah.
right?
Interviews, questionnaires.
Perfect. Interviews, questionnaires, right? Remember, brainstorming sessions, these are for idea generation. We focus on quantity of ideas.
Yeah.
Right? We do brainstorming session. Questionnaires or survey when we have large audience which is geographically dispersed. We go with questionnaires and surveys. Right? Questionnaires and surveys. We can also do facilitated workshops. Facilitated workshop. And in facilitated workshop, what we do is we invite relevant stakeholders and we conduct different activities to identify stakeholders. We can conduct focus groups. Focus group is a meeting between key stakeholders and subject matter experts, right? So we'll be talking to them and we will be identifying stakeholders. And you can also do observation. Observation is a technique where you review or observe any existing similar product, right? And you see how many stakeholders are there. Okay, who are the stakeholders in that particular project? So you get idea from that. This is called observation. Right? observation. Okay. So these are the techniques that we use, and as a result of that, what we get a comprehensive list of stakeholders. All those stakeholders are documented in a document, and that document is called Stakeholders Register. I told you yesterday, a lot of question in the exam would be about documents. So this is another document.
Yes.
You'll see this again and again in your exam. Stakeholders register. Okay, stakeholder register. So it's like a matrix, something like this. So all the information about stakeholder would be captured here, like stakeholder IT, stakeholder name, right? Stakeholders' role in the program, their organization, right? Their contact details, their expectations or needs, their communication preferences, their level of power, level of interest, right? Their level of influence or their attitude. We'll be talking about all these, right? Their status or any other relevant information. So this register is developed during the initial stages of the program, and we keep on revising and updating this throughout the life of the program. And we do that especially when program moves from one phase to another. Let's say we are going to initiate a new component. So we will be revising this activity. You understand that? Why?
Yes.
Because let's say we have different phases of the program. This is, let's say, phase 1, phase 2, or component 3. So for each component, set of stakeholder would be different. So whenever we will be moving from this component to the next, right, we will be redoing this exercise, right, to identify new stakeholders. So this activity is done during early stages, and it is repeated during phase changes, or when program moves from one phase to the other. As a result of that, what we get a comprehensive list of all the stakeholders. This is a data repository for all the stakeholders, right? So why do we develop that? We develop that so that we can use this throughout the program lifecycle. How it should be used, when you will be using it. Let's say you develop this. Now, when you will be using this?
Throughout the program, for all the
For what purpose?
communication, keeping them updated, getting the
Yeah.
approvals. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. For primarily communication purposes, right? Communications, right? Communication and reporting. So what we will be doing is we will be reviewing it and going through it to extract relevant information, right?
Yes.
Okay. So just a second. Okay. Once stakeholders are identified, Then we move to next step, right?
Mm.
And next step is analysis. Step number 2. Stakeholders analysis. Oh, sorry. Just a second. Are you able to see my screen, Anju?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Stakeholders analysis. Okay. So in this step, we will be analyzing all the listed stakeholders and we will be categorizing them in different categories, right? Why? Because we won't be using just one strategy for all the stakeholders. You understand that? For different stakeholders, we will be using different strategies, right? So that's why we need to categorize them. Now, categorization is done by using different categorization schemes, right? For example, we categorize based on relative power, relative interest in your program, relative attitude towards your program, right? Their, you know, urgency, legitimacy, right? All of these factors. Now, let's talk about different techniques that we use to classify stakeholders. So first one is power interest matrix. Power interest matrix, PI matrix. It's a two-dimensional grid that we use, or it's a two-dimensional categorization method, right? Two-dimensional. On one side, we have power. Power could be high, it could be low, right? Similarly, interest could be high or low. Okay. Now what we do is we categorize this in 4 different quadrants, something like this, right? Okay. Now, stakeholders who have high power and high interest. If you could recall, I know it's difficult, how we would be categorizing
Yeah,
them.
they will be actively tracked or involved.
Sorry?
They'll be actively involved.
Actively involved, right? Yeah, close. Right, perfect. So what we will be doing is we will be, just a second. Yes. So we will be managing them closely. So we call this category as manage closely or active involvement. You're absolutely right. Good try. Manage closely. Okay. If interest is low and power is high, then what we do is we keep them satisfied.
Yeah.
This is second category. Third, if interest is high, power is low, we keep them informed.
Yeah.
And last one is we just monitor. Now you'll see a couple of questions from this graph, and maybe they will present this in the exam as well. So you need to thoroughly understand this. Okay? You need to understand this. One of the examples, like for example, they say, a new stakeholder has joined your organization and they are appointed as your new program sponsor.
Okay.
However, due to workload and the other priorities, they are not very much interested in your program. How you would be categorizing them using power interest grid? What would be your answer?
Keep satisfied.
Why?
So because his power is high, but his interest is low in the program.
Absolutely, that is right. Absolutely. Because they are stakeholders, so their power is high. There is no doubt about it. Okay. And their interest is low, so we will be having them in keep satisfied quadrant. So this kind of questions you can expect in the exam. Okay. Now this is two-dimensional categorization, power interest matrix, PI matrix. We also use three-dimensional categorization, and that is what we call stakeholders cube. Cube. Now cube is 3 dimensions. So we talk about power here, interest, and attitude. 3 things. Right? So let me draw a cube here. It would be something like this. Right. So yes. So this is your cube. Let me draw other lines. Now you see it has 3 dimensions, right? So along each dimension, we will be writing one of the factors. So here, let's say we have power, right? Now, power could be high, power could be low, right? If power is high, we call this category of stakeholders influential. If power is low, we call them insignificant. Right? Then we have interest here. Interest. Now, interest could be, let's say, high. Interest could be low. If interest is high, we call them active. Otherwise, we call them passive. Right? And third category is attitude. Now, attitude could be positive. Attitude could be negative. Positive attitude means they are in favor of your project. Negative attitude means they are against your project or program. If attitude is positive, we call them backer. Otherwise, we call them blocker. Now, once this labeling is done, what we do is we divide this main cube in 8 smaller cubes. For example, let's say this is the first one. What do you think? What kind of stakeholders we will be having in this section based on the labeling? What we will be having here? So from our perspective, who will be here from power perspective?
Power is the first one, right?
Yeah.
Power is high.
How power is high in this cube, in this brown cube?
Where is this brown cube? It is in the first this. First thing is the first phase of the
Yeah, so yeah, it's the front face. Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Mm, I'm not sure.
So see, power is this is the right first or the front face, right? You understand that?
Yes.
And if I divide it in two half,
Mm.
the right side is power is low,
Okay.
where
That
power is
I'm taking the low as the that one and the high as the top portion.
no. So
Uh,
see, this is how we divide that, right? The right
okay.
side is low and left side is high. So from power perspective, we can write it insignificant, right?
Yes.
Okay. What is
Mm.
from interest perspective?
Passive.
Why passive?
The left portion is low, right?
You know,
I guess so.
so see, we're talking about this section, right?
Okay. So, okay, got it. So, okay. No, you are going by the writing there, right? The active, that high, this side, left side high and right side low.
Yeah.
Okay.
This side is
Active.
high.
Yeah.
So active, right? You
Yes.
understand?
Yes. Now I understood. Yeah.
Okay. From attitude perspective, what it would be?
It's a blocker.
It's a blocker. Perfect. Wonderful. Now, this category of stakeholder is called insignificant active blocker,
Mm.
right?
Yes.
Similarly, we can do for others. Let me do one more.
Mm.
Just a second. And you need to tell me the category of stakeholders here. Let me take this one. This is the back side, right?
Mm.
This is the lower back side.
Mm.
Okay, tell me now.
Lower back side. Attitude negative.
Let's start from power.
Okay.
From power perspective,
Power.
what is it?
Uh,
Mhm.
uh, Power influential.
Yes, absolutely. Perfect. Okay.
Interest
Interest,
passive.
passive, perfect. And attitude,
Attitude negative. Blocker.
blocker, perfect. So this is second category. So
Mm.
this is how we categorize this entire cube in 8 different categories. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is 3-dimensional categorization with the help of stakeholders cube. Okay, then we have another one that is called salience model. Any idea what is salience model if you recall?
I remember hearing this name, but no.
Okay, no problem. So see, in salience model, what we do is we use 3 characteristics,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
3 characteristics. First is power. Second is legitimacy. And third is urgency. Power is the ability to influence. Legitimacy is relevance, right? Relevance. How relevant a stakeholder is, right? Let's say you're working on an internal project, maybe government is not very much relevant.
Mm.
right? So their legitimacy would be very low. If you're
Mm.
working on a public project, community's legitimacy would be very high. Okay. So what
Mm.
we do is we develop a Venn diagram.
Mm.
And that Venn diagram looks like this, right? So let me draw it here. And something like this. So first we have power. Second is we have legitimacy, means relevance. And third we have urgency. Now remember, this is sufficient for you to prepare for the exam. This is what you need to know for the exam. Like
Okay.
salience model is three-dimensional categorization,
Mm.
right? Salience model is three-dimensional categorization.
Mm.
But how actually we use that, I'll be talking a little bit more, okay? So
Yeah.
what we do is we categorize stakeholders based on power, legitimacy, and urgency. Remember, in the middle section, you see this category of stakeholder is having, they are powerful, they are legitimate, and they are urgent. Let me label it here first. So I'm talking about this section, right? This one.
Mm.
So you can see this section. This is the core section of your stakeholder because they are highly powerful, right?
Mm.
They are relevant to your project and they are urgent. We call this category as definitive stakeholder. Now, this would not be tested in exam. This is for your knowledge, okay? Or we call them core. Similarly, other categories are if somebody is powerful and legitimate but not urgent, we call them dominant. Okay? If somebody is powerful and urgent but not legitimate, we call them dangerous. If somebody is legitimate and urgent but not powerful, we call them dependent. Again, you need not to memorize these categories. Only powerful, dormant. Only legitimate, discretionary. Only urgent, demanding. And all other outside of this are called non-stakeholders. Now, this is called stakeholders salience model that we use to categorize stakeholders in 7 different categories. Any question about it?
Still processing it, but yeah, good.
Perfect. So these 3 models that we have discussed so far, power interest matrix, which is 2-dimensional,
Mm.
cube, which is 3-dimensional, and salience model, which is a Venn diagram based on power, legitimacy, and urgency. Okay. We also use one more that is called direction of influence.
Mm.
Direction of influence. So what we do is we categorize stakeholders like this. Right? Upward stakeholder means your bosses, reporting officers. Downward stakeholders, your subordinates. Sideward stakeholders, your peers, colleagues. And outward stakeholders outside of the organization. So we also use this for categorization. So all of these are these methods are essential to categorize stakeholders in different categories. And why we do categorization, we have already talked about it. Because once we do the categorization, now we can have customized strategies for each set of stakeholders. So next step is step number 3, which is stakeholders engagement planning. So we have covered 2 steps so far. Next is engagement planning. Okay. If you have any questions so far regarding whatever we have covered, feel free to ask. Any question?
No, can you repeat that direction of influence once again?
Yeah, so direction of influence is what we do is, so what we do is in direction of influence, we categorize stakeholders based on hierarchy, right? So for example, we're saying upward stakeholders means your seniors, CEO, senior leadership, right? Portfolio manager, program sponsor. Downwards team members, right? Your subordinates. And then we have sidewards means colleagues. And outwards stakeholders which are not part of your, organization.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So next is stakeholders engagement planning. Okay. What we're going to do, we're going to do a plan. We want to develop a plan that how we will be engaging with the stakeholders. Right. So what we will be doing, we will be developing stakeholders engagement plan. Stakeholders engagement plan will be having stakeholders engagement strategies, or how we will be engaging with the stakeholders. Right? How we will be engaging with the stakeholders. Now for engagement, what we need to do, we need to communicate with stakeholders. Communication, right? Communication is a way to engage. Now there are different methods to communicate, right? And for communication, what we develop communications management plan. So you will see these 2 plans in exam again and again. I'll explain what is the difference between these 2. So communications management plan talks about communications only. Communications, like how you will be doing communication. What are different communication methods? How many models we have, right? What are communication channels? What are mode of communication, right? So you will be writing all these in communications management plan. Means communication strategies are documented in communications management plan, right? For example, let's say methods. There are 3 communication methods. If you recall, what are 3 communication methods?
No idea. Active communication? No.
Okay.
No,
So
no.
no problem. There are 3 methods. Push communication, pull communication, and interactive
Okay.
communication. Push, pull, and interactive. Now, what is push communication? So push communication is a communication method where message is pushed by the sender towards receiver.
Yes.
Right? Message is pushed by the sender towards receiver. Could you please give me example?
Information radiators.
How information radiator is push communication?
See, we are displaying the status in a information radiator where the recipients will get that from, right?
So how we are pushing? Are we pushing information towards recipient?
Or else the symbol one is email communication.
Email, right? Yes. Yes. Email is a form of push communication, right? Newsletter, any kind of report. All of these are examples of push communication. Pull communication. What are the examples of pull communication?
I think that the information radiator thing will be coming in the pull communication.
Why? How?
The recipient is pulling the information from some source.
Absolutely. So pull communication is a form of communication where on one side we have sender, in the middle we have a platform, on the other side we have recipient, right? So what's happening here? The sender places information on the platform, right? Let's say this is the information. All the information is placed here. And this platform could be anything. It could be a website, could be a shared drive, right? Could be anything. And the recipient visits the platform to pull the information whenever it is needed, right? So this is called pull communication. What do you think? Which one is effective, push or pull?
Push.
Why?
It's directly reaching the recipient.
Okay. So yes, there are advantages and disadvantages of both. Advantages and disadvantages. For example, when it comes to push communication, it directly reaches to the recipient. And when it comes to pull communication, recipients can access information whenever it is required, right? They can exercise their discretion. If they need, they can extract. If they don't need, they're not bombarded with irrelevant information, right? So information radiators, yes. Website, shared data drive, dashboard, right? All of these are examples of your pull communication. Third one is interactive. Now, interactive is real-time communication. Communication that happens in real time. Right? Real-time communication. For example, face-to-face communication. What kind of communication we are having now, Andrew?
It's one-on-one communication, interactive.
Interactive. So audio video conferencing is an example of interactive communication. Instant messaging. This is also an example of interactive communication. Now remember, for your exam, interactive is the best form of communication. So wherever you find an opportunity of face-to-face interaction, go for that. Okay? Whenever you find that opportunity, go for that. Okay. So these are communication methods. Okay. Similarly, we have different communication models. Communication models. We have simple communication model or basic communication model. And we have interactive communication model. In basic communication model, what we have is we have a sender, right? We have a sender, and on the other hand, we have a recipient. So sender encodes the message, means writes down the message, right? And message is transmitted towards the recipient. During transmission, we experience different types of noise. Noise is anything that hinders effective communication. Noise is anything that hinders effective communication. Could you please help me list down some of communication noises?
Information loss, the data loss
Okay.
during transmission,
Yes, loss of data. What else?
misinterpretation
Misinterpretation.
of the message,
What else?
uh, data corruption,
Okay. Similar to loss of data.
yeah. What else? Language,
Yes,
language
language.
difference, linguistic
Perfect.
difference.
Cultural
Then
differences.
cultural difference,
Too much information,
mm.
right?
Mm.
Too much information.
Yeah.
Too less information.
Mm.
Untimely information. We're sending information at the wrong time.
Mm.
Complicated language, right? All of these things, right? Now, these are technical problems.
Mm.
Physical noise, right?
Mm.
All of these are your potential communication noises, right?
Mm.
Okay. Just a second. Okay. So sender encodes the message, transmits to the recipient decodes it, right? And then send an acknowledgement message back to the original sender. Acknowledgement means, yes, I have received the information. What are the advantages of acknowledgement?
To make sure that the message is received by the recipient.
Yeah. And what are the limitations? Like, what are the limitation of this acknowledgement? Yes, acknowledgement is done. I mean, is it enough?
No. I mean, is it the right information that is received? It is not understood, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The information has been delivered, but
Yeah.
we're not sure if it has been understood.
Mm.
You understand that? So for
Yes.
that, what we do is we convert this basic communication model into interactive communication model. So this is your basic communication model. What we're gonna do is we're gonna convert in an interactive communication model. So for interactive communication model, what we do is, in addition to acknowledgement, we add another loop. And that loop is called feedback loop, right? Feedback loop. And what is this feedback loop? In the feedback loop, the recipient, what they do is they writes down summary of the message, right? Summary of the message, whatever they have understood, and this is transmitted back to the original sender. So when this summary is read by the sender, it ensures that message has been understood the way it was intended. So this is called effective communication. So there is a concept of effective communication. Effective communication is a communication that achieves desired outcome. So for example, you want people to be honest with you, right?
Mm.
You communicate with them, and if they become honest after listening to you or after receiving their communication, we call that communication effective. And let's say you have sent them an email, they have read that information, but that has not translated into action. That is not called effective communication. Effective communication is a communication that leads to result, action oriented outcome. That is called effective communication, right? So we make sure that communication has been understood. So this is the difference between basic communication model and interactive communication. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay, there's another concept, and that is the concept of communication channels. Communication channels. Okay. Now, channel is a line of communication. Let's say if two people need to talk to each other, how many channels we need?
One channel.
One channel, absolutely. If two people need to talk to each other, one channel, one line is needed. If we have three people, then three, right?
Mm.
And if we need more people, sorry, if we have more people, we need more channels. Something like this. So communication channels, they tell you the complexity of information system, how complex a communication system is, right? So we can compare different communication system by calculating their communication channels, right? Okay. There's a formula to calculate communication channel, and the formula is communication channels are equal to n into n minus 1 divided by 2, right? Where n is number of participants in the communication system. Number of participants in the communication system. Okay. Right. So let's say participants are 20. So 20 into 20 minus 1 divided by 2. It's, I guess, 190, right? Higher the number, more complex is the communication system. Okay. Right.
Number of participants meaning the number of relevant stakeholders, right?
Yeah, I mean, who are involved in the communication system, who needs to be communicated,
Okay.
right?
So this is the recommended number of communication channels.
No, this is not the recommended.
Mm.
They will vary, right?
Ideally, okay, this is the maximum.
No, this is, yeah, if you have 20 people, this would be the maximum, right? So actually, if we have high number, means communication is complex, right? It just tells you the idea how complex is the communication system, right? Okay, so these are communication channels. And then we have mode of communications. Like communication could be written, right? Communication could be verbal. Communication could be non-verbal. You understand that? Written, verbal, and non-verbal. So verbal is what you say, written is what you write, and non-verbal is your body language. Body language, right? So PMI says most of the contribution is by your non-verbal communication. Most of the contribution is by your non-verbal communication. I think it's roughly 68%, if I recall, right? And 7% is this, I guess, and remaining is this, if I recall. But you need not to memorize this for your exam. So this is mode of communication. Then communication platform, right? We can use different platforms for communication. For example, right now, we are using Zoom for video conferencing, right? So we have different platforms that we can use, right? So we need to define which platform we will be using. So collectively, with the help of all these things, what we develop communications management plan. This is also called communication calendar. Now, what is communication management plan? In communication management plan, we list down all the stakeholders, right? We list down all the stakeholders and we write their communication needs. And how we understand their communication needs? We conduct communication requirement assessment. In communication requirement assessment, we talk to each stakeholder and we understand their communication preferences. You understand that? Does it make sense?
Yes.
We will be talking to them and we will be understanding their communication preferences. Like which mod you like, which method you like, which platform, right? Which medium, model, all these things are understood by talking to stakeholders. Okay. Just a second. Okay. So, for example, let's say CEO is one of the stakeholders. So we'll be writing what's their communication preferences, like their content preferences, what they need. Let's say they are interested in progress of the program, progress reporting. What would be the frequency, right? So frequency is, let's say, weekly. What's the method? Let's say interactive. Which platform we will be using, right? Let's say platform is we will be using Zoom. Who will be the owner and all other details. Similarly for client, similarly for government, similarly for public, right? You understand? Does it make sense?
Yes.
Now, all communications are done according to this communication calendar or communications management plan. You understand that? So this is how communications management plan is developed to make sure that you communicate with all the stakeholders and none of the communication is missed. Right? Okay. Once communications management plan is developed, okay, now one thing that we need to understand, what's the difference between communications management plan and stakeholders engagement plan? What's your understanding? What's the difference?
Stakeholder engagement is throughout the program. I mean, it's more than the communication. Right? The
Okay.
communication can be one within that stakeholder engagement plan.
Okay. So see, one is about communication, right?
Yeah.
Just communication. Second is about engagement. For example, how we can engage a stakeholder by participating in a sports event, right? So sending them an email about the sports event and detail and everything, this is called communications. Now, participating in that event, involving them in those games, right? Engaging them, this is called stakeholders engagement. You understand that? One is
Yes.
about announcing, okay, this is an event, this is going to be happen, please participate. This is called communications. And then actually doing that activity is called engagement. So in order to do engagement, you need to do communication.
Yes.
Right? So both are separate thing. Only communication is not enough. Let's say communication is done and stakeholder has received the information. They understood that, okay, the event is going to be conducted next week. This is the time. Is it enough?
No. We need more also.
Yeah, this is not enough until they join that event, they participate, they learn, and engagement level goes up. You
Yes.
understand?
Yes.
So communications management plan contains communication strategies, how to communicate, email, report, face-to-face meeting. It's all about communication. Engagement is all about engaging activities, right? You understand that?
Yes.
For example, when you are developing the product, involving them in that development, right? That is engagement. Co-creation. Co-creation means collaboratively develop the product. Co-creation. Right? There's another thing that is called co-location. What's that? Having all team members at the same place. That is called
Yes.
co-location. Okay.
Mm.
So I hope you understand the difference between communications management plan and stakeholders engagement plan.
Yes.
Now, please take care when you respond to questions. Ask if the problem is about communication or the problem is about engagement. If they're saying stakeholder is not engaged,
Mm.
then it would be stakeholders engagement plan,
Mm.
right? If
Mm.
they say stakeholder has not received the communication, it's the communication management plan. Or for example, a stakeholder says they are not receiving enough details in the report.
Mm.
The problem is with the communication. A
Mm.
stakeholder says they have not received the meeting invite. Problem
Mm.
is with the communication. Stakeholder says they are not able to understand the language. Communication problem. Stakeholders say the document is not readable or legible. Communication problem. You understand that?
Mm. Yes.
Right? So, and on the other hand, if they say, for example, stakeholder is not responsive to your request, they're not participating in meeting, they're not providing feedback, this is engagement problem. You understand?
Mm. Yes. Yes.
Like you are communicating, you're sending reports, emails, and everything, but stakeholder is not responsive. So that's the difference you need to understand.
Mm.
Accordingly, either you need to update stakeholder engagement plan or communication management plan, right?
Mm. Yes.
Okay. Remember, let's say a stakeholder complains that they are not receiving enough details in the progress report. What you should be doing next? I'm not giving you option. What comes to your mind?
Sorry, if he's not receiving enough
Enough
information,
de enough details in the progress report. What you
then yeah,
yeah.
then we should update the communication management plan.
Okay. That's the first action you will be doing.
No, I will ask him what information he is missing.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. So first of all, we need to understand what's the gap, what's the
Mm.
problem, right?
Mm.
You understand that? We
Yes.
need to talk to them. So better have a meeting with them,
Mm.
right? Understand their concern and
Mm.
accordingly update your communication management plan,
Yes.
right?
Mm.
And remember, there is a concept of tailoring,
Mm.
very powerful concept when it comes to communication.
Mm.
So tailoring means we're not going to use one strategy for all the stakeholders, right? We're not going to use one strategy.
Mm.
We will be using different strategies for different stakeholders. Please remember this. Okay.
Mm.
The report that you're sending to to the CEO would be different from the report that you will be sending to, let's say, client.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Okay. The last thing what we do is we develop stakeholders engagement assessment matrix. Stakeholders engagement assessment matrix. Now, this is used, as the name indicates, to assess engagement levels of stakeholders. Assess engagement levels of stakeholders. Right. How it is used, let me draw it here. So it looks like this. So we write all the stakeholders. Anju, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. So all the stakeholders are written down here, right? All the stakeholders are written down here. So let's say government is one of your stakeholder. So we write their current engagement level. Let's say you're working on a community project and government is not aware of your project. So there could be different possible engagement level. A stakeholder is, let's say, they are unaware of your program. Let's say stakeholders are aware, but they are neutral, public. They don't care about your program. Some stakeholders, they are supportive, your internal. Some stakeholders, let's say, they are against, or let's say, leading your program. And some stakeholders, let's say, they are against your program. So how this engagement assessment matrix work? We write down current engagement level of government. Let's say current engagement, right now government is not engaged. Government is unaware. So we will be writing CEL, which stands for current engagement level. However, we want government to be supportive. So we will be marking desired engagement level. If there is a gap, we need to come up with the strategy to bridge this gap. You understand that?
Yes.
Let's say there is another stakeholder which is public, right? We want public to be supportive. And when we check the current engagement level, it is supportive. So current engagement level, this is the current engagement level, and this is the desired engagement level. It means for this stakeholder, we need not to do anything. You understand that? And
Yes.
here we have a gap. So we need to do something to bridge the gap. This is called stakeholders engagement assessment matrix. This is used to assess engagement levels of stakeholders. This is developed during the early stages of your program, and we keep on updating it throughout the life of the program. Right? These strategies are implemented, right? And if you're not getting desired result, you talk to the stakeholders, you understand their concern, and then update the plan or update the strategy. So this is how the entire communication system works, right? That's all with regards to stakeholders communication and engagement. If you have any question about it, feel free to ask.
No. I think we are good.
Clear?
Yes.
Wonderful. This is very important topic for your exam, right? You'll see a lot of questions from this section. So most of the question would be about, communication problems. Stakeholder is not joining the meeting. So there are a few principles that you should keep in your mind, right? For example, as we discussed, concept of tailoring. Second is, let's say, if communication is not working, you need to talk to stakeholder, understand the concern, right? Third, involve people, inclusivity. You'll see questions, let's say, a status meeting is planned where key decisions would be made. However, an important stakeholder told you they are not available, what you should be doing. So without giving you option, what comes to your mind? Let's say a key stakeholder says they are not available for upcoming very important meeting. What you should be doing?
I will have to reschedule that.
Okay.
if that is okay with all of the other stakeholders. We'll get a convenient timing that works for everyone and we'll reschedule.
Is there any other option?
Or else I can ask for a separate meeting with him
Mm-hmm.
and take this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Depends. It depends on the situation and the dependency on that stakeholder. If the meeting can
What you will be doing by meeting them? What you want to achieve?
meeting them, meaning that excluded stakeholder,
Yeah.
uh, because he's the key decision maker, right?
Mm-hmm.
He should be there in the meeting throughout in all the discussion. No?
Mm-hmm.
No?
Yeah. So what we will be doing is, see, you're on the right track. We're not gonna postpone the meeting.
Mm,
We're not gonna reschedule it.
mm,
First, what we're gonna do is we will approach that stakeholder. We
mm,
will discuss the agenda, and we
mm.
will take their opinion.
Yeah. Mm,
And then we will be conducting our meeting. So
mm,
this is how what's happening. We are achieving all the objectives.
mm,
We are neither delaying the project,
mm,
we are not postponing the meeting, right?
mm,
Because let's say this time one stakeholder is not available, next time somebody else won't be available.
mm.
At the same time, we are taking their input as well. We are not excluding them.
Yeah.
So inclusivity,
Mm.
right? You understand that?
Yes,
So
yes.
we try to involve people,
Mm,
right?
mm,
And we should be we should try to you know uh, do communication in a way that it is effective. So we shouldn't be communicate for the sake of communication. We should be doing communication to make it effective so that people take action.
mm,
And it's our job to understand their preferred way. We shouldn't be asking them, right? It's their job. It's my
mm,
job to understand what's their preferred way,
mm,
right?
mm,
Because if communication is not happening, then it would be overall loss of the program. So it's our
mm.
responsibility to talk to them to understand their preferred communication style, and accordingly we need to update that. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, that's all with regards to stakeholders engagement and communication. All right, Anju, welcome back. So now we are going to talk about next domain, which is governance domain. Are you able to hear me, Anju?
Yes, Summer, I can hear. Yeah.
Perfect. Governance. Okay. So this is the last topic that we are discussing because life cycle we talked about on day one. Okay, governance. So what's your understanding? Um, like when we talk about word governance from program management perspective, what's your understanding of governance and how governance is different from management? What's your understanding?
Um, Governance is more like more related to the policies, providing a baseline,
Mm-hmm.
having an oversight on all the activities.
Okay, one keyword you're saying is oversight
Yeah.
or monitoring, right?
Right.
So you're saying governance is more like monitoring.
Mm.
Okay, what else?
Authority.
Authority,
Mm.
right? What else? What else?
Um,
Okay, you're right, right? Difference between governance and management is that governance is more like oversight or monitoring things.
Mm.
And management is more like doing things,
Yes.
right? So governance is setting direction, control, ensuring alignment, right? On the other hand, management is more like execution, coordination, right? Delivery, right? So first we got the understanding like what is the difference between governance and management. Okay. Next is what exactly we do when we say, okay, we are doing governance. So there are three things which are part of governance. Governance include three things. First, defining governance practices, right?
Mm.
Second, defining governance related roles and responsibilities. Right?
Mm.
And third, designing that governance. So program governance design or framework. Now these are three things: practices, rules, and design. Okay. Let's first start about governance practices, right? Governance practices. Okay. What comes to mind uh, apart from monitoring? What else is part of governance?
Processes.
Okay, so you're saying processes are defined by governance. This is what you're saying?
For governance purpose, we define the processes.
Sorry, could you please repeat?
For governance purpose, we define the processes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right. So let me write some of the activities that we perform when it comes to governance. For example, governance function ensures strategic alignment. Number one,
Mm.
we have already talked about strategic alignment.
Yes.
So let's say if governance is your job, one of the core responsibilities is to ensure strategic alignment,
Mm.
that the goals of the program remain aligned with the strategic objective, operational capabilities of the organization. You understand? That's your first responsibility as a governance function, right?
Mm.
What else? Securing funding. That is also job of governance. Secure funds. Okay, establishing agreements, right? Establishing agreements. Setting aside set clear expectations, right?
Mm.
Uh, Execute program reviews and health checks. It's the job of governance functions to do these reviews and health checks, right?
Mm.
Providing approvals like selecting, endorsing, and enabling the pursuit of program components. authorization, delegation of authority, decision making. All of these things are done by governance function.
Yeah.
So governance is not just a body, right? For example, we have a governance board which performs all the activities.
Mm.
Governance is a complete framework,
Mm.
and that framework defines hierarchies, right? Like
Mm.
who will be reporting to whom, authority level, how decisions would be made, decision making, defining responsibilities of different actors, escalation procedures, how problems would be escalated. You understand that all of these things are defined by governance. This is called governance. For example, we talked about that umbrella, if you recall, something like this, right?
Mm.
So on top, we have OPM. Here we have portfolio management, right? Then program management,
Projects,
project management,
operations. Yeah.
operations, and here we have PMOs. Now, this is governance.
Mm.
These different levels, they
Mm.
ensure governance, oversight, monitoring, right? They govern the overall work. And governance is more like monitoring, decision making, authorization, right? So it's
Yeah.
one level above of doing work. So we're not talking about doing activities. We're talking about governing or regulating or navigating those different activities. So if I talk about governance practices, so the first thing in practices what we do is we develop governance plan. First thing, program governance plan. Remember, all plans contains policies and procedures, right? Policies and procedures. What else? What comes to mind? What do we add in the plan? What we will be adding in this plan? So one is governance policies, right?
Mm. Roles and responsibilities.
Okay. What kind of policies we will be having, by the way? What kind of procedures? What kind of processes
Organizational policies. Then
regarding?
uh, vision and mission, including vision and mission.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Now
Then
let me write. Let me write. Let me write. So policies, see, for example, let's say you are a sponsor and
mm,
you want to monitor your program. Do you need to follow some processes or not? Like
yes.
how you would be doing that? What's the process for doing that? Right?
See, I'll be referring to some organizational documents, right? At the baselines
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
the plan.
Absolutely. So plans are guidelines.
Mm.
So all the guidelines regarding governance are documented here,
Mm.
right? So governance plan includes all the guidelines like how you will be performing these governance functions, right? Tools. and templates. Which tools and techniques you will be using? Templates and formats. Right? Roles and responsibilities of different actors. This is defined by governance function. Who will be doing what? Right? So the governance plan describes the structure and composition of the. So for example, in uh, a program, we have a governance board or program steering committee. We have program sponsor, right? We have program manager, and other stakeholder. So it's the job of governance to define roles and responsibilities of different actors, right? It's not the job of program manager. You understand that?
Yes.
Because program manager performs management, right? Sponsor and governance board, they perform, governance function. So roles and responsibilities of different actors is defined by governance function. Also very important. So please pay attention. This is probably the most important part of governance discussion. So it contains policies and procedures, all the guidelines, which tools and techniques you will be using, templates and formats, and roles and responsibilities of different actors. In addition to that, it contains planned governance meetings. So see, in order to perform governance or in order to monitor your program, you need to conduct meetings, right? Health checks, reviews, and all those things. So how those meetings would be conducted? So it contains schedule of those meetings. So remember, if the question is about schedule of governance related meetings, correct answer is governance plan. In governance plan, we write those. What activities we will be performing in those meetings, right? What are the key milestones on which we will be performing those health checks, right? When we will be conducting audits on program performance, what are the key decision points where governance functions need to meet and make those decisions?
Yes, I can.
We're talking about when we say governance, so governance is not just a group of people who are doing their work. Governance is the overall framework, right? It's the overall structure of your program. Who will be doing what? How many people will be involved? How many meetings we will be conducting? When we will be conducting those meetings? Everything is part of your governance plan. You understand that? Right? Okay. Another thing in governance, key performance indicators. So governance define KPIs. Key performance indicators. Because in order to monitor performance, we need to define KPIs, right? So what are the methods to do this monitoring? What are the thresholds? Which matrix we will be using? What are the tolerance limits? Everything is defined by governance. You understand that? So this is part of your governance plan, right? Governance vision and goal. as you mentioned earlier, that is also part of your governance plan. Let me write it here. Right, so governance, vision and goals, right? So it provides the basis for strategic mandate that drive the definition of the most of the program. It ensures that any program within the area of authority defines its vision and goals to effectively support those organizations. In addition to that, what it does, governance provide approvals. What kind of approvals? If you want to initiate a project or program, right? Initiation, right? If you want to close a program, if you need more funding, if you need to do changes or modifications, right? Okay. So for all of these things require governance approval, right? So approvals, all kind of approvals. Let's say you develop business case approval. You develop project charter approval. Any other decision regarding program funding, right? For all these things. Program success criteria. So we're talking about governance practices, and in governance practices, we develop governance plan. All of these things are documented in governance plan, okay? So success criteria, it's the minimum acceptable criteria for your program to be successful. Minimum acceptable threshold. All the conditions which should be fulfilled to consider your program successful, right? And then program monitoring or program reporting. How reporting should be done? Reporting format, reporting frequency, who will be sending the report, to whom the report will be sent, right? Everything is documented in your governance plan, right? So program monitoring, like types of reports, content, frequency, right? Recipient, everything is documented. Format, right? Platform, reporting, right? For example, it contains reporting regarding funds, reporting regarding milestones, reporting regarding utilization of resources, risk factor, lead times, right? Stakeholders, right? Changes to the program, right? Benefits realization, status of benefits, how reporting would be done, and what would be reported. Everything is documented in your governance plan. Okay. Defining risk thresholds. This is again governance. What's the risk appetite for this particular program? Right? Doing risk and issue governance. making sure that overall risk factor is below the threshold, minimum threshold, right? Program change governance. If there is any change, how that change would be handled. Typically, we have change control board for that. So within the governance function, we have change control board. So change control board, CCB, will be handling all the changes. Remember, all changes would go to change control board, right? And if any change is directly incorporated in the program, that is called scope creep. You understand that?
Yes.
And the way to avoid scope creep is send all the changes to change control board. Now, what's the authority of change control board? What's the process of changes? Right? Everything is defined by governance and it is documented in governance plan. We develop a separate plan that is called change management plan. Change management plan, which includes all the policies and procedures when it comes to managing changes. So all of these things are documented in your governance plan. You understand that? Everything. Guidelines regarding component initiation and closure. How components will be initiated, how components will be closed. Everything is documented in program governance plan. For example, when it comes to initiation, what are the things which are important from the governance perspective? If you want to initiate a program and you are part of the governance board, what you will be looking at?
How to work on the business case, who is authorized to do that, how to get the strategic objectives for this business case, like that.
Okay. So see, from governance perspective, if you receive a request to kickstart a component, what you will be looking at? You will be looking at uh, economic feasibility, right?
Okay.
If your project is economically viable, technical feasibility. You'll be looking at, do you have enough funds? Do you have capability as an organization? Strategic alignment, is it aligned with the strategic objective of your organization? Right? Benefit realization. So you look after all of these things, right? And then you will be according approval. Okay, yes, you can kickstart. You understand that? Does it make
Yes.
sense?
Yes.
From governance perspective, you will be, developing, modifying, or reconfirming the business case. You will be confirming availability of resources, right? You will be confirming that this project component, a program component, is essential for the successful completion of the program. This is aligned with the strategic objectives. You have all the resources, right? And you develop governance structure to track the component progress. If all of these things are done, yes, component is approved. Now you can kickstart. Same is the case, we have guidelines for closure. What comes to mind? When you are going to close a component, what are the things that you should be looking at?
The acceptance,
Acceptance, yes. Formal acceptance.
formal acceptance, customer satisfaction, the transition, the
Perfect.
guide,
First is 100% completion of the work.
yeah.
Work is complete from all aspects, right? It is defect free.
Mm,
No defects.
mm,
It has met the success criteria,
yeah.
right?
Mm,
It gives value to the customer,
mm,
right? So you take care of all of these things and then you recommend, okay, yes, now you can close the program, right? So these are the things which fall under program governance practices, right? So you develop governance plan that includes policies, procedures, guidelines, tool, techniques, templates, formats, roles, and responsibilities, planned governance meetings, key performance indicators, vision, mission, approvals, success criteria, reporting, risk threshold, change governance, right? And guidelines for initiation and closure. So all of these are part of your governance plan, and this is defined by your governance function. Any
mm.
question about it?
No.
Okay, perfect. Next thing is governance roles and responsibilities. Governance roles. So what are different governance roles which come to your mind?
Mm. Governance roles.
Yes. I mean, okay, let me simplify this.
Mm.
How many different roles are involved in the execution, management, and governance of your program? Like program sponsor, right?
Sponsor is there, program manager is there,
Program manager. What else?
project managers,
Perfect. Anything else?
portfolio. If it is falling under portfolio, then
Yeah, so we take them as program sponsor, right?
okay.
PMO,
PMO, yes.
right? Governance board.
Change control board,
Perfect. Or steering committee, change control board, CCB. Anything else?
mm,
Okay, let's start with the sponsor. What's the job of sponsor?
sponsor is the champion who,
Yeah.
yeah, who supports the program.
Okay. What else?
He'll help to get the required approval. He's the authority.
Okay, yes. Authorization come from sponsor. What else?
Some
Most important thing is funding.
funding, yeah.
Funding support by removing barriers. Funding support or by removing barriers. Right. Okay. What else? Remember, sponsor is the chair of program steering committee, is the head of steering committee,
Mm.
right? So they have ultimate authority. They have, they should be having decision making capabilities. So what kind of capabilities are needed for sponsor? Leadership, decision making, influencing, right? Effective communication. So you may expect a question in the exam, what are the key capabilities of a sponsor? And four options would be given: leadership, decision making, influencing, communication. And in next option, three would be same, one would be different. You understand that? So you need to select leadership, decision making, influencing, communication.
Mm.
So these are the capabilities needed for sponsor. Okay. Right. Next is program manager. What's the job of program manager? Or let's first talk about steering committee. What do you think? What's the job of steering committee?
Steering committee is the working body that gives the required approvals, help
Yeah.
to get the programs
Yeah.
keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
It is headed by the sponsor, but it's a
Yeah.
group of people who work in aid of the program.
Yeah. So it's a collective decision-making
Yes.
body that makes decisions,
Mm.
right? So all the decision regarding
Mm.
program. So they provide program support, right? So all the things that we discussed under sponsors, right? Sponsor lead these efforts,
Mm.
right? So they ensure that all the resources are available, right? They ensure strategic alignment. They do oversight and monitoring. Oversight and monitoring, right? They do approvals regarding initiation of a component, termination of a component, closure of a component,
Mm.
right? They review overall health of the program, right? Review expected benefits. So it's the working group which is performing all the functions of governance under the authority of the program sponsor. Okay. What's the job of program manager? What's the job of program manager?
Coordinate different program components,
Yeah. Coordination.
monitoring,
Coordination, monitoring,
stakeholder
reporting.
engagement,
Sorry.
stakeholder engagement.
Yes, stakeholders engagement. And program manager, they also have authority,
Mm.
right? For example, let's say when it comes to changes, a change up to $10,000, let's say that would be processed by program manager,
Program manager. Yeah.
right? So that's, and they guide project managers. They handle program related risks. They manage interdependencies. They plan availability of resources, right? All of these things are done by program manager. Then PMO, Program Management Office. What's their job?
Support the program managers or project managers,
How they can support that?
training,
Perfect. Training. What else?
guidelines, tools and processes,
Perfect. Tools and
tools and
techniques.
techniques,
Perfect. Templates and formats.
and format.
They may assist in finding resources. They assist in communication and collaboration. They assist in reporting. They assist in data availability, data archival, data retrieval, right? They identify best practices, right? And depending upon the type, their role vary, right? For example, let's say we have three types of PMOs: supportive, controlling, and
Direction.
directive.
Yeah.
Supportive, they provide support, all the things that we discussed earlier.
Mm.
Controlling, they ensure compliance. It's kind of a police function which ensure that programs, they follow all the process. And directive, they completely take over. They have ultimate authority. So depending upon the type, they will be doing their job.
Mm.
And then comes project managers. What's the job of project managers? Their job is to manage
Projects.
individual components, right? And when it comes to individual components, we have this triple constraint triangle, right? Managing scope, time, and cost,
Yeah.
while adhering to quality standards, right? That's the job of project manager. And they coordinate with program managers, they ensure reporting, they manage staff, they manage day-to-day work, right? That's the job of project managers. Okay. So last thing is, when everything is done, we develop governance design, right? Third thing and the last thing in governance design, design and implementation. Okay. Now, program governance begins with the identification of governance participants, right? Who will be
Mm.
part of the governance board and what are different governance practices. So we need to define how governance related roles are filled and responsibilities discharged. And governance practices, they may differ depending on the sector or industry. So it's not like that we will be following single governance structure for all kind of programs. Different programs require different structure. You understand that?
Yes.
If you're working in a government sector, different
Mm.
governance structures required. If you're working in, let's say, nuclear, aerospace, or defense kind of work, different governance is required. If you're working in pharmaceutical, different governances, right? So effective governance is you tailor the governance structure which is aligned and optimized according to the targeted industry or benefit which are delivered by the program.
Mm.
So we look into the legislative environment, right?
Mm.
Right. So we see, okay, what kind of legislations are developed, right? We
Mm.
consider decision making within the organization, how decision making is done, because governance is highly influenced by decision making framework within the organization. You understand that?
Yes.
Who is actually making the decision? You can't say, okay, this is my governance structure, I don't care about the organization. So you need to study the organization.
Mm.
That should be aligned with portfolio and organizational strategic objective. It should take care of how a program should be delivered. You should not be doing a lot of governance activities where, um, where more focus is on governance rather than doing the work. And it also depends on strategic importance, how important a program is. It's not like that you will be implementing same level of control on all the programs. You understand that?
Yes.
And also in the end, what you define program management information system. We call
Mm.
it PMIs. You'll see this in the exam. PMIs could be automated, could be manual. It's a system that is used for creation, distribution, storage, archival, and retrieval of information. An information that is used to create, distribute, store, archive, and retrieve program data and information that is called PMIs, typically a software.
Mm.
What are the benefits of PMIs? What comes to your mind? What are the benefits or advantages of PMIs?
Um, it's a standard that all the project team or the program team can use. Then data
The
persistent.
standard or what?
It's a software that everyone in the organization can follow, right? Plus, it is a persistent storage of all the information. It will have all the details about the past projects.
Yeah. One is, availability
Yeah.
of data. Data
Yeah.
is available. Second is accuracy of data.
Yeah.
When you have data manually available, there are a lot of chances of, errors and mistakes.
Mm.
It's quick because it's automated,
Mm.
right? So accessibility, accuracy, and speed, right? Integration. Different functions can be integrated. So these are some of the benefits of PMIs. So when you want to get rid of errors, when you want to speed up the process, right? When you want to enhance the accuracy and reliability of data, you implement PMIs, right? So you'll see this in the exam. So
Mm.
you implement PMIs, you implement all the policy, and governance function starts working. If governance is not performing or not providing required results, what you're gonna do? You're gonna change it, right?
Yes.
So it's not like that. You won't be sticking to just one structure. You can change it according to the needs of the program. So this is governance. You might be having question in the exam, let's say sponsor is not joining governance related meetings.
Mm.
What you should be doing? What comes to your mind?
Um, Sponsor is not joining the governance related meetings.
Yes, what you should be doing.
I would understand why he's not joining. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
what is his take on the meeting schedule or cadence? If we want to
Mm-hmm.
alter that, we will have to change that in the um, communication plan, then
Mm-hmm.
stakeholder engagement plan, and
Mm-hmm.
governance plan.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, you need to understand why, okay?
Mm.
And sometime you might see an option, um, remind them about agreed governance structure.
Mm.
So in governance, you agree that, okay, this is a meeting and this person will be joining and this is the protocol. So you can
Mm.
remind them of that.
Mm.
Okay. If there is no option that says, okay, talk to them or meet them, then the option that says, okay, remind them of the governance or agree on the governance, that is also the right choice. Okay. You understand that? If they are not joining, then
Yes.
seek an agreement first. Okay. According to governance, this is your responsibility. You have to do it. If they have any other reason, you can discuss that and maybe you can revise your plans accordingly. Does it make sense?
Yes.
That's all. With this, we're done with governance for program. And with this, we complete all the domains for your PGMP exam. Now, from when we say from course perspective, course is not a lot, right? It's not a lot. It's I would say just 200 pages and maybe less. Some information is irrelevant there. But remember, each and every line is super important from exam perspective. Each and every line is super important. So for example, what you're going to do now is I would suggest you need to read the standard thoroughly. Do not rush. Don't read 2 chapters a day. Just read one chapter. Just read, let's say, 5 to 6 pages. Highlight each and everything. Try to understand. Because all the questions are made from the standard. You understand that? Each question would be from the standard. They will be picking a line from the standard and they will be adding a scenario and make a question on that. For example, what links, let's say, what is the bridge between organizational strategy and execution? Different options. Let's say option is strategic objectives, organizational policy, organizational hierarchy, or the framework. What is your answer?
Organizational strategic objectives.
Strategic objectives. This is what we discussed on day one, right? So this is how questions are made. So if you understand each and every line thoroughly, so see, sometimes we read and our brain tells us, okay, we understand, but in actually, in real, we don't understand that. We just read that. So reading and understanding are two different things. Understanding is something, developing a capability to explain or analyze that concept and apply that concept in real life. That's what we call understanding. So that's understanding you need to develop. And how you can do that? Reading it thoroughly and taking notes. Taking notes. Highlight each and everything, note it down, right? And then we will be doing the mock test. I'll be giving you a few days where you will be going through the standard. Once you complete the standard, I'll be sharing mock test with you. You will be doing those mock tests slowly, right? And then we'll see the performance. And gradually we'll be improving our performance. Meanwhile, what we're going to do is we will be submitting our PGMP application.
Okay.
You understand, Anju?
Yes.
Okay. What's the status of application?
I have